Hello and welcome, everybody. It's your host Dre, and this is going to be a first in a particular series. Hopefully, maybe depends. Um, Today we're going to be talking about sports and nepotism. I'm going to title it "The Sins of the Father." So, before we get too deep into it, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. As some of you may know, or I'm assuming everybody does at this point, uh, LeBron James Jr., also known as Bronny, is the son of the LeBron James. And LeBron used his pull to get his son drafted to the Lakers. A lot of people have a problem with it because it is rank nepotism. Nepotism bothers me a little bit, but not as much as some of the conduct and just how this whole thing went down. It was telegraphed for a long time. And the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, none of it matters if you can play. But if you can play, you probably don't need nepotism. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Um, I want to say this before I go in, because I don't really want to go in on Bronny per se, as much as this little fuck ass father LeBron. There has always been and always will be nepotism within society. I would argue that there aren't too many people on NBA rosters who are not worthy of a roster spot, but they are a literal handful. I don't think nepotism is something that is that rampant in terms of players, and there's a reason for that. That's because you have to play. Front office, coaching staff, I think those are different conversations. You can hide someone who's incompetent in an office job in a company that has hundreds of employees. You can't hide someone whose job it is to go out and play. And I want to say this, like, I've watched three of the summer league games of the Lakers at this point. And I've not been impressed. Basically, it kind of confirmed everything that I was thinking, which is at the very least, he probably should have went back for another year of college. But this is the thing. I understand why he didn't, and I'll explain why. Um, Typically, when you are a standout athlete, you can see it. Even when you have a lot of potential, you can kind of see those flashes of greatness and what could be. I feel like with Bronny, having watched just a little bit of him, I think I saw like this exhibition game with Sierra Canyon and some other team. Started like I can't remember the damn name of that other team. Um, but for the most part, from my understanding, Bronny was considered to be the third or fourth best player on his team at Sierra Canyon. That's high school. And granted, Sierra Canyon is known for being a powerhouse high school that produces a lot of um, college and eventual NBA standouts. Um, Not only that, but at USC, and I want to commend dude for fighting back, coming back from a cardiac arrest event to even be in shape and able to play. Um, that that was scary. And if I'm being honest, at least from my knowledge of sports from this 30 years or so that I've been following it, I have never known anybody with a serious cardiac condition or event to continue playing and much less be drafted. Um, Basically, that the big reason for that should be self-apparent. Nobody wants to witness a tragedy. We all love the game. We all want people to, come compete, put it all on the line, and be able to go home at the end of the day. So that thing with the cardiac arrest was scary as fuck. And like I said before, I commend dude for fighting back through that. The flip side of it is coming back to his college team, and I saw about good 3, maybe 4 of their games down the stretch last year, and Bronny, I want to say he was getting probably about 15 to 20 minutes a night. He didn't look like a standout. Um, he was, I would say he was probably, I might be being a little bit kind here. I would say he was probably like the ninth or 10th best player on his team. And granted, he played for a bad team. It's kind of one thing when your team is loaded and you got like a situation where like, hey, we got top recruits from all all over the country. One through 12 is actually NBA level talent, but just some people just don't get to play just by virtue of that you can only play 5 people at a time. Versus, you know, you're getting the opportunity, but you aren't really standing out. Um, and then now watching 3 summer league games, and frankly, he looks like he does not belong. Um, there's a reason why a lot of former NBA players who probably could have pulled something like this didn't, and I believe we're watching it unfold now. Um, I think it's preposterous to think that he would become better, um, or play better, I guess you would say, relative to the talent that he'll face at the start of the season, simply because the summer league is the rookies. It's the guys who are really trying their damnedest to make a roster, and the level of competition is pro level. Don't get me wrong, but it is not NBA full fledged NBA competition. Um, I think Dalton Connect, their first round player, has a really interesting story. Worked his way up from JUCO to D1 and is now living the fucking dream. But nobody talks about him because of the whole thing with Bronny and LeBron. And when it comes down to it, the way he's obviously struggling. He's not ready. He's not ready for the NBA. He really should have went back for another year of college, but I understand why he couldn't go back for another year of college, because if he went back and had another year and he put up numbers like he did that last year, it would really truly show that he doesn't have it. Um, Coming off of the cardiac event is one of those things where, from a PR and a spin standpoint, yeah, he hasn't really played his best basketball yet. He had to fight to get back on the court. It's a miracle he even got back on the court. He came back after the season had started. He missed camp. He missed so much time. And, he just didn't really have a chance to build rhythm and really work his way up to the top of the rotation and show what he had. That's really the argument for Bronny coming out this year, which I understand. I think that's technically his best argument, because if he goes back and he doesn't play better than he did, or excuse me, significantly better than he did last year, then it really shows that, like, yeah, this is his cap. This is his ceiling. And watching him, he looks intimidated. He looks like he doesn't belong. And I can only imagine the frustration that the young man is feeling. Because at the end of the day, here's where the sins of the father comes in. Your dad been hyping you up for years. If LeBron had just shut the fuck up and pulled strings and got his son a roster spot and, like, we go play together, would people be miffed? Yes, they would be miffed. It wouldn't be to the degree that it is, because you talked about your son and set expectations for your son being an NBA level talent, and people don't see it. And this is the flip side of it. Because you could look at somebody who say, for instance, Michael Jordan could have pulled strings, and I'm quite sure got Jeffrey and Marcus Jordan into the NBA. But what we're witnessing would be the flip side of it. One, if you're good enough, you don't need it. And this is the thing with sports in regards to the field of play. You know when you're better than someone, and you know when you're not. I have played with talent that has been fucking amazing, and I knew this guy don't belong in this gym right here. Thank God he on my team. There's been a few. It's like, we in for a long game, and when you can hold your own and when you can't. And that's the look that I see on Bronny's face right now. It's not good for him and his psyche to be struggling like this. It's going to take an amazing intestinal fortitude. And the thing about it is, I think he's a great kid from the interviews and things. He speaks well. He carries himself relatively well. He's obviously been a media coach, but from the little bit that I've seen of him, the little bit that I've heard him speak, like, he seems like a good young man. And it's a shame what he's going through. And I feel like what he's going, all of this, at the end of the day, is to his detriment. Because if it was really about what was best for him in his career, I think it would have been one of those things like, hey, look, man, you know what? There's no shame in going back and doing another year or two of college ball. There's no shame in that at all. Like, I want you to be ready. And say he comes back and say he does improve in another year or two. And he comes out of college, he putting up 15, 16 a game and putting up got a good grasp and feel of the game, as coming out with has an actual 3-and-D type of threat. And I've never seen a 3-and-D player without the 3 or the D. That builds his confidence. Even if LeBron pulls some strings to get him in, it's like, yeah, I might be on this particular team's roster because of a little bit of nepotism. But when it comes down to it, like, he can hoop. That's a completely different story. And I feel like it turns the whole nepotism angle into a non-angle. Because at that point, it's like, hey, he's an NBA talent. LeBron just pulls some strings to get him to a particular team, which some players have done that before. It's a completely different story when you ain't hooping. Man, what my boy Mark from Arties, he not hooping. He not hooping. That's what Mark for RDC World. Shout out. Uh, but yeah, man. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I told them I would never, because they know I'm not a big LeBron fan, and they like, oh, I feel like this is just an extension of you hating on the son. I was like, nah. If I was in this position, I would never do this to my son, because at the end of the day, he got to put up, and I would never want to put my son in a situation where he could be embarrassed, because I love my child. Honestly, I probably do what Mike told his boys. He's like, hey, I want to play basketball. That's on you, but I probably wouldn't play basketball. I'm considered one of the greatest basketball player ever. That's a hard act to follow. So let me know your thoughts, because I feel like this is all LeBron's doing, and it's blowing up in his face. The way he's handled people in the past, nobody wants to play with him and come to his team. I mean, if I were the Lakers organization and I was really petty, oh no, you tried your best to bend us over a barrel. You said Bronny could play and that you wanted him on the team to develop. Cool, he go play. He go play all 82 games, and it's gonna be your fault. Like if he don't get out there and produce, we're not gonna be looking at Bronny. We could be looking at you. That if I was in the front office and I was that petty. But you know, I'm better you. I'm not petty you sometimes. But I'm gonna stop talking at you all. I really feel that this is um a tragedy unfolding before our eyes, and I really I hate to see this once the season starts, because if he's playing 10 to 15 minutes once the season starts, I really I really think he's gonna be in for a long season. And I wish young man the best. If there's a corner to turn, if there's anything that for him to push and step it up, I hope he does it. I don't want to see a young man fail. And this is hard because this is all a product of his father's hubris. I feel like it's a product of his father's own selfish desires, and he's being used as a pawn right now. And the person who's least going to benefit from this is him, is Bronny. And all of this that's about to unfold is not going to be on Bronny. These are the sins of his father, which unfortunately his son has to reap. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree? Disagree? Are you a bronsexual? It's okay. Come on out the closet if you're a bronsexual. Comment, share, and subscribe. Have a great weekend. Peace. I am out.